I won't. Hi, Nancy. Oh my, you don't have to all go quiet on me. Well, it's good to see you. It's good to see all of you here today joining us. We have reached a milestone with Greenlight Lincoln. I think the press is aware and the public's generally aware of the Greenlight Lincoln initiative. And we want to bring everybody up to date. So today we'll be telling you and I think showing you how we're reducing traffic congestion and improving safety and quickly getting Lincoln drivers to their destinations. So I want to start by introducing our speakers today and asking them to come up here. Lonnie Berkland, you all may recognize from last week. I think it was last week. Yeah. We were up here, wasn't it? It's our Assistant Director of Transportation, and he'll discuss the importance of the Traffic Management Master Plan and optimizing our system, the concept of doing that broadly. And then Mark Lucherarms. Did I come close to pronouncing that correctly?
Not perfect, but pretty dang close.
All right. Well, I've never made perfect in anything, so you shouldn't feel slighted. In any event, he's the manager of our traffic engineering with the city and probably has the most exciting job today in terms of getting to reveal the results of the first phase of Greenlight Lincoln, and then I think he has an announcement or two about phase 2 coming up also. And the most fun today is that we have many members of the Greenlight Lincoln team in the room today. That includes, I think, city staff and consultants and electrical contractors. And I, as a group, will certainly want to thank you for bringing about, working together, all these remarkable achievements. Let me see the hands of those of you who are city staff. And contractors? 3? Welcome. And are there consultants other than in those 2 categories? All right. Didn't mean to leave you out. Welcome. Many of our national rankings, as people know, have put us in the top 10 of communities in many, many different ways. And that includes recognition for our low commute times and for our low crash rates. But we know we can do even better. We know because we've heard through our Taking Charge survey and other public outreach programs that residents and businesses still feel frustrated about congestion and travel time. Getting people safely and reliably home, to work, to school, to other community activities, of course, is a primary responsibility of city government. We all want to spend less time waiting for red lights and more time with the people we love and activities that matter to us. While our population growth is very positive for our community, it can increase congestion and crashes, travel time, and pollution. Lonnie and his team heard the calls for change. They developed the Traffic Management Master Plan, which has provided a blueprint for us for innovation and for investments in traffic system technologies. That plan then, in turn, set the stage for Greenlight Lincoln with a combination of new signal equipment and new timing plans to reduce stops along major streets and to improve traffic safety and flow on a variety of streets. Other benefits include, of course, a reduction in harmful emissions and cost savings. We estimated that Greenlight Lincoln's Phase 1 will save our residents millions of dollars in time, fuel, and vehicle repair costs. The city will save millions more in operational efficiency and in reducing the need for street widening projects. The results of Phase 1 are already impressive, and we're very excited about it being delivered as promised. Our results show that for every dollar we invest in Greenlight Lincoln, the benefits will be $19 over a 5-year period. That's totally impressive. At City Hall, we are working every day to meet the needs of the growing city and to leave a better city for future generations. Greenlight Lincoln is helping us to achieve those goals. It advances the priorities outlined in our environmental action plan, and it helps us meet community expectations developed through our Taking Charge public engagement process. We are responding to the public. I want to thank Public Works and Utility Director Mickey Esposito. Is Mickey here today? You made her work. Planning Director David Carey and Sustainability Manager Frankie Larick. These three people work a lot with the public to chart the course we take for meeting transportation and environmental challenges. So with that, Lonnie, I'm going to ask you to take over and describe for us in more detail the plan and such things.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, here we are again, another week, and it's another great day to be in the city of Lincoln. Thank you, Mayor, for those wonderful remarks, and welcome to everybody that's in attendance today. It's great to see a good group of all of our public and private partners that helped us out on this. We've got a pretty fantastic team. I'm going to let Mark talk in a little bit more detail about some of our private support in a little bit, and I just did want to mention that we do have those folks here from the Signal Shop and some of our own traffic engineering shop that have helped to deliver this project and have put in a lot of hours on the streets. So wanted to take a couple minutes and provide a little bit of context on where we've been. This traffic management master plan that Mayor mentioned is something that we put together a few years ago, and kind of makes me always recall three words, and that's safe, efficient, and reliable. And those three words, safe, efficient, and reliable, has kind of been our traffic engineering division's mantra as we've been marching through this effort, and that's really been sort of at the highest level the goals of what we wanted to do for our system. Actually, I'm going to read you something that I found interesting the other night when I was stepping back through this. We put together a little preface in this, and this is online on the traffic engineering page, but I want to read you a quick paragraph out of there. It says, in the past 24 months, our team has completed self-assessment and asset management inventory work. This has led to changes in how we do business, how we use technology, and what we know about our system, staff, and processes. We are different. We are poised for the implementation of vast improvements citywide. With your support, in another 24 months, we will again be fundamentally different. We will be better. The citizens of Lincoln will reap the benefits. Travel will be safer and more efficient. And we'll go on to have this bold statement about, with further support, we will attempt to move all modes of traffic as good or better than any agency in the nation. And that was signed off right at the end of 2015 or the first part of 2016. So here we sit 24 months later. And it's pretty cool to see that that vision come to reality. And so I just wanted to list off a few of the things, the activities that we've actually done in that quick 24 months. One of those primary efforts is the reason that we're here today. It's the development of the Greenlight Lincoln Initiative. In the past 24 months, our team has developed the scope and timeline of Greenlight Lincoln. In the past 24 months, we began the process of putting together specifications and procurement docs to begin testing and evaluating new equipment. We also developed a consultant request for proposals, and we took in those proposals and scored and evaluated and selected consultant teams. In the last 24 months, we updated unit price contracts and developed a process to begin bidding the physical intersection work. Our team engaged in a national best practices review, and we also completed a new traffic signal timing guidelines manual, a documentation to guide the signal timing effort of this. In the last 24 months, we've completed signal retiming and equipment modernization at over 120 intersections. And actually, even in the last 24 months, a couple of those staff, one you're going to hear from in a minute, weren't even city employees yet. So we've onboarded some new folks and run with this program as well, all in the last 24 months. A lot of hard work has been done in a very short amount of time, and I'm very, very proud of this amazing public and private sector team. And it's very reaffirming to know that when you have a vision and we put together a plan of action like this, and when that plan is supported, that we can do amazing things in the community. We still have a long ways to go. We've got some aging signal infrastructure. We've got needs to modernize more and do more, and we have funding challenges. So the battle is not yet over, but it's nice to take just a quick minute today to celebrate a little bit the results of this initial phase. We're going to continue to do more, we're going to continue to do better, and we're going to continue to make our system safe, efficient, and reliable, so that our citizens continue to reap the benefits. And with that, I'm going to let Mark get into the details of what the completion is of this phase one, and some of the information that I hope a lot of you find very interesting. So, Mark, come on up here.
Thanks, Lonnie. Well, I don't know what to say, if I say wow or phew or what, but you know, we've been running fast for the last 12, 16 months, whatever it's been. And we're going to continue running fast, but it's nice, as Lonnie said, to stop and take a breath, to celebrate a little bit, just even if only for an hour, and you know, just to thank everyone for the accomplishments and the hard work that you put into this Greenlight effort. So, Mayor, thank you for your support of Greenlight Lincoln. Obviously, we would not be able to do it without your support, so thank you very much.
Make him buy you guys a beer. This shouldn't be all.
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
We heard it.
Yeah. And Lonnie, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for entrusting me to lead this circus, and to entrust it to all these guys, and to all of you that are part of the program, city staff, consultants, and contractors. Thank you as well, because again, without all of your support, we don't have enough resources internally. It would not have been possible. So thanks, everyone. And for those that I haven't mentioned yet, Nancy and Frank and Diane and Holly and Hugh and Jeff, thanks to all of you for continuing to make people recognize this initiative and keep it in people's minds by putting it in the paper and putting it on TV. So it's been great. It's been fun. And probably ramble a little bit more on my introductions, but now I'm going to go back and forth between the laptop and my remarks and just kind of talk to you about some of the details that illustrate the roving success of phase one, and then maybe a little bit of a surprise or an unveiling of what we're going to do in phase two. So let me get the right slide up. Here we go. So phase one of Greenlight Lincoln, what we in traffic engineering with the city like to call GL2, began in the fall of 2016 and included, as Lonnie mentioned, signal timings and equipment upgrades at 121 locations. Those upgrades occurred at both signalized intersections as well as signalized locations at mid-block crosswalks along these 9 corridors that make up about 33 miles of arterial streets here in the city. Included in this list of 9 corridors, but certainly not limited to them, include O Street, Highway 2, and 84th Street. And the majority of these 9 corridors that we're talking about carry anywhere from 25 to 33,000 vehicles per day. So in most cases, these 9 corridors are the busiest streets that we have here in town. Thank you. So equipment upgrades were made to repair aged or failed equipment and to take advantage of emerging technologies. This included replacing vehicle detection systems, improving and adding signal displays, and installing one of my favorites, the flashing yellow arrow indications for accommodating left turns. These installations were performed by our own traffic engineering staff, as the mayor so appropriately recognized earlier in his remarks, as well as with the cooperation of our 5 electrical contractor partners. Again, many thanks to these 5 companies for your efforts, but in no particular order, Capital City Electric, which I know is here, thank you guys for being here and your participation. Commonwealth Electric, who's also in the room, Micah, thank you. The other 3 contractors I don't think are in the room today, but still very much appreciated, ABC Electric, Watts Electric Company, and WCHE. So again, thank you for everything you've done, and we continue to look forward to additional work from you guys in phase 2. So upgrades were made not only to field equipment, but also to traffic signal timings. And this is the first comprehensive signal optimization initiative in more than 15 years. And in fact, I was so fortunate to be a part of the last time when I was much greener, no pun intended, to the theme of today, less wise, and still a little wet behind my ears, but it was time to embark upon such an initiative, and thanks to the leadership of Lonnie and the rest of the team, we're finally there. This too was coordinated between city staff and partners, namely 3 local traffic engineering consulting firms, and those 3 are represented here in the room. Mike Forsberg led the HDR team, and each of these firms were assigned 3 of the 9 corridors to work on. Iteris, represented by Steve Garby. Steve, thanks for being here. And then Olson Associates, led by Shane King. Shane, thank you for being here. So, signal timing activities included significant amounts of data collection, the actual retiming, developing the new timing parameters that go into the controllers that then get downloaded into the field, and then performing performance measure calculations at the end so that we're able to assess the improvements in traffic flow resulting from all the equipment and signal timing upgrades. This process has been fully documented in a final technical report that is hot off the press and is also now available on a updated Greenlight Lincoln website. So if you go to the website there, traffic.lincoln.ne.gov, you'll see a new, improved look of our website with all of the information that we're presenting today and much more information in that technical report. So I invite you to take a look at that and know more about the detailed results of this project. So in order to quantify the benefits resulting from these upgrades, travel time studies were performed on each of the corridors during each of 4 different time periods of the day. Travel time studies include a pilot car driving each corridor from one end to the other, turning around and driving in the opposite direction, and doing that multiple times over each of these 4 time periods. Also during this time, we used a GPS-enabled software to calculate average travel times and the number of stops that were incurred along these runs so that we could then calculate other performance measures that are bulleted there on the screen, including vehicle delay, fuel consumption, and fuel emissions. And later on in my remarks, I'm going to show you a short video or presentation that illustrates these travel time runs and also speaks to the benefits that we're achieving through this first phase of Greenlight Lincoln. And so, this is a synopsis of what these results are for phase 1. Using the results of the travel time runs that I mentioned previously, as well as prescribed calculation methodologies by the Federal Highway Administration, a variety of performance measures were calculated. The metrics that are displayed on the screen represent the annual savings, so the average for each year for the 9 corridors combined, including the 4 time periods that I previously mentioned. Even though these results are very, very impressive, they only equate to 7 hours of a 24-hour day. In other words, we only measured the improvements resulting from what we did for 7 of 24 hours. So beyond the impressiveness that you're seeing with what's on the screen, there are actually more significant benefits that were actually not quantified that we're also proud of. I should also point out that the 32.4 million vehicle stops that are saved as a part of the signal timing effort will result in a significant but unquantified savings in rear-end crashes at signalized intersections. In other words, fewer stops mean fewer crashes. And finally, the $8.8 million illustrated in this graphic is a combination of saved fuel consumption and the amount of time savings benefited by Lincoln motorists, converted to user savings. This value does not take into consideration the savings in vehicle repairs and insurance premiums that folks are saving through this additional travel time and the crashes that are being saved. So just to put some of these metrics into context, I tried to come up with some fun facts as to what these numbers mean, and so try to wrap your head around some of these things. So the number of stops, so think of 32.4 million stops that we're saving on these 9 corridors in a given year. So imagine each one of you individually were driving a car continuously for 1 year. Just think if that's even possible. You would stop every second. So you're driving your car continuously from now until March 1st, 2019. You would stop every second. Pretty phenomenal. Delay. This is if you were sitting in traffic, not moving every hour of every day for 50 years. That's how much delay we're saving. I think you can kind of wrap your hands around the dollars. Think of some all-star sports athlete and what they make on an annual basis. That's pretty easy. Emissions, the 57,400 kilograms of emissions, and I tried to get some information from Frank Ulark in the back of the room because he's kind of the expert here, and he says you traffic engineers don't know really what you're talking about when it comes to environmental savings, but Lonnie helped me with that. That's the equivalent of 12,000 bowling balls. So all those emissions coming out of your tailpipe, that's bowling balls. And then the fuel. So on average, if you were to drive from LA to New York and back again, 2,200 of those round trips is the amount of fuel that you would consume on average, depending on your fuel efficiency. And oh, by the way, that would take one person driving 60 miles an hour 24 years to consume that amount of fuel. So anyway, great results, we think. And then so then if you take all those results and monetize them and project them over a 5-year period, which is kind of the recurring frequency in which signal timing efforts along a given corridor are recommended, and then consider the cost that went into this. As Mayor mentioned, we're achieving a benefit cost ratio of 19-to-1, which we're very proud of. And one thing that's unique about this calculation is that the majority of the times when communities go through signal retiming efforts, such as the one that we just completed, the cost component of that is simply benefits divided by costs. In most cases, the communities only use the cost associated with the signal timing effort. Well, we actually included all the equipment upgrades on top of that and still achieved a benefit to cost ratio of 19-to-1. Had we just included only the cost to do the signal timing upgrades, we would have achieved a benefit cost ratio of around 90-to-1. So pretty phenomenal and staggering results. So now finally a fun little video. So on the website you'll see one of these videos. Soon there will be 2 more. But this video that I'm going to show you just illustrates kind of from a GoPro camera equipped in the car of what a travel time run looks like. And it's also going to illustrate along one of our corridors. You're going to see O Street during the PM peak time period around 5:30 in the afternoon. On the left side of the screen, you'll see a video from the before scenario, before the upgrades were made. And then on the right side of the video, you'll see the after scenario. And I'm going to jump you through it. It's an 8 or 10 minute video, so I'm not going to play it in its entirety. I'm going to skip through it and just show you at different points as to how far ahead the after vehicle gets as compared to the before vehicle. So again, we're eastbound on O Street, starting at about 25th Street, 5:30 in the afternoon. Again, before is on the left, and the after is on the right. I'm going to just jump ahead here. Whoops, there we go here. Okay, so now we're about 3 minutes into the run. You'll see that 33rd Street, the after scenario is just passing through the intersection of 33rd Street, whereas on the left, the vehicle is sitting in queue probably about 31st Street. So even after 3 minutes, there's about a 4-block difference in terms of where those 2 vehicles are. Oh yeah, thank you, Lonnie. So you also notice around the bottom of the screen, you'll see an aerial photo with the green car of the after scenario driving along and showing you where they are with respect to the red car. So you'll see that the red car is still sitting at 33rd Street, while the before scenario is almost to 48th Street.
This isn't going to be here in Florida State.
It kind of is. It kind of is. Look 6 minutes into the run, you'll see that the after scenario is almost at 56th Street, and the before scenario is just approaching 44th. So about 12 blocks ahead. Jumping ahead a little bit more, about 8 minutes into the video, we're just passing 68th Street, hit the back of a queue at 70th Street for the after scenario. And before the timings were implemented, we're still sitting at Lindcrest Drive, which is right in front of Gateway Mall. And then I'm just going to jump way out here. You'll see it about 10 minutes in, you'll see that the after scenario had reached its destination, which is Skyway Road, which is probably about the equivalent of 76th Street. And at that time, the before scenario was still sitting at 70th Street. And here shortly you'll see the end of the before run, completing at 12 minutes and 10 seconds first. So for that run, it took that test vehicle, that pilot vehicle, more than 2 minutes less to get from one end to the next. And that's pretty consistent with a lot of the results that we saw on the 9 corridors and the 2 directions and 3 time periods. So, Lonnie was supposed to be over here. I got it.
Okay. Thanks.
You helped me there, so we're good. So now the funds, that's just a synopsis of phase 1, again, which we're very proud of. But now we're ready to move on. We can still celebrate and catch our breath the rest of today, but tomorrow we're back to work. So in 2018, we continue with phase 2. And the corridors that we're looking at are both on the screen as well as the board here on your left. So phase 2 will include 146 intersections, or locations, excuse me, including signalized intersections and pedestrian crosswalks along 12 corridors, equaling almost 50 miles of arterial streets for phase 2. Again, ask you to invite you to visit our website, again, which is updated, to familiarize yourself with these corridors and the intersections that are along them, to just familiarize yourself with the benefits that you can hopefully see in about 12 months from now, or even less than 12 months from now, along your routes or close to home. And so our phrase about a year and a half ago was it's go time, and so that's what we're doing, but we're still going here at the bottom. So, and then finally, just to give you a little bit more detail as to our schedule for phase 2, we've already begun. Our crews, as well as the local contractors, have already begun to do some of the equipment upgrades on these 12 corridors, and that'll continue through the middle of the summer. We're engaging consultants to do signal timing optimization work, and that work will begin early spring, mid-spring, and continue through late summer, or about the April to August time period, in which we'll then be ready to do that before set of travel time runs to see how well things are operating under status quo conditions, implement the new timings, and then do the same measurements afterwards to quantify how well we did with phase 2. So throughout the next 5 or 6 months, you'll start to see physical changes happening out on the street to the equipment on these phase 2 intersections, including seeing more flashing yellow arrows, I can promise you that. And then in about 7 to 9 months from now, you'll start to experience the traffic flow changes that result from these signal timing changes. So I thank you for your time and allowing me to elaborate on the great success of this project, and I'll turn it back to Mayor.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. You're welcome. How about that? Great stuff, huh, Nancy? I don't know about the part about bowling balls. That just goes to show you that engineers will never be poets. But they're great engineers. I think you have to give them credit for that. And I think it's very important to continue this investment, and we're certainly going to work hard on the budgeting end to fight for additional money to do this. So with that, questions?
I spend a lot of time at 33rd and G. Do you ever get to that? I'm teasing.
Okay. I had an answer, but you weren't going to like it.
We can if it helps with the story.
The cost. What was the cost for this past year, and then what's your estimate of costs moving forward?
You have the cost.
Yeah, I think this effort, maybe correct me, Mark, if I'm wrong, for phase 1 was somewhere in the neighborhood of around 2.3 million in total. That was for consultant costs, contractor costs, equipment costs, all rolled together. We've kind of been budgeting this sort of $2 to $2.5 million range. Again, you know, some of that depends on the number of intersections in each phase. You'll see this one jumps up to 140 intersections instead of 120. Sometimes the work involved at each individual intersection is less intensive. Sometimes it's more intensive, depending on what we're dealing with kind of age and condition of cabinets or detection systems, if we have conduits underneath the ground that are full. So that range has been working out, I think, pretty well, and that's sort of what we're planning on for next phases.
And this 6 years? We've had estimates as high as $18 million.
Yeah, and I think what that is in the capital improvement program, we've previously had a traffic optimization program, and I would just remind everybody that Greenlight Lincoln is one initiative within that program. So I think this kind of generic $3 million for 6 years is probably where you're getting that $18 million on a projection. We do other things out of that type of program: traffic counts, consultant studies, other analysis, other projects, replace signals, more things than just Greenlight Lincoln. And that's been kind of the need and the priority. We've been really focused on Greenlight as part of that portion of the CIP. We will be moving forward with a phase 3, which yet undefined, but we think is most of the CBD area downtown. Phase 4, remaining other intersections, but we've got thoughts of a phase 5 and 6 that might not be as signal timing focused, but more catching up on those needed equipment upgrades. So our plan for now is to continue to budget that level of investment in the next CIP.
Lonnie, could you talk a little bit about that kind of savings that is really hard to measure, where you, or maybe it's not, but where moving the traffic faster reduces the need to widen streets?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, nationally, a lot of folks, we started this story kind of with the traffic management master plan. Nationally, we've kind of got this score of a grade of a D for our 300 and some thousand traffic signals in America. And lots of agencies are like us, struggling to prioritize and find funding for upgrades to their signal system. But nationally, every time folks are going in and doing new timing plans and improving traffic flow, the benefit cost ratios are always coming back north of 10 to 1, 14 to 1, 12 to 1. You can see the results we got. And what I would tell you is, a lot of times, instead of doing simple, additional intersection, turn lanes, widening of a 2-lane to a 4-lane road, there's a lot of operational benefit that you can continue to squeeze out of your network by optimizing the system. And so, I can't point to an exact dollar amount, but we often use that $12 million a mile for a brand new 4-lane arterial. So, even a half of that cost to do some major reconstruction or widening, you can start to see a mile of roadway versus 120 intersections. So there's this balance, right, that we try to make sure we're doing what we can to optimize things as well.
All right.
What else? Nothing. All right.
I think one of the fascinating things to me about this project, if I'm understanding it correctly, and you correct me, Lonnie, if I'm not, but I'm always fascinated by the way technologies relate to one another, and by the fact that you and I live in an era where technologies are increasing so rapidly, change is increasing so rapidly. And with respect to this project, you can see it in the sense that ALLO is building high-speed internet to every home and neighborhood. And as they build that out, that technology starts to merge with Greenlight technology, and connectivity becomes so much more possible and so much more effective. And so one technology builds on the other, and everything just accelerates. And we need you engineers to stay on your toes for a long time to come. But it's a great work in progress, and it's great to see Lincoln on the top of its game in this area. So thank you all again for everything. Nancy.
Thank you.